Spring is in the air.
Woo!
You know what that means, right?
Warmer weather, lighter foods.
Yes, smaller portions, lighter eating. Today we're going to show you some really, really great ideas, all the way from super simple to a little more complex, but still really light and really fun. We hope that you enjoyed today's episode as we wheel you into spring. Say bye-bye, winter.
Bye-bye.
Finally, right?
Yeah.
All right, stick around. See what we're up to. Hey everybody, welcome, and guess what? Got such a simple and easy, really quick, fast meal for you. First things first, we got our little saute skillet here smoking. I'm going to add a little bit of olive oil. If you don't like olive oil, you can always use coconut oil. That works too. I'm going to add a little bit of butter because the flavor of the butter is awesome.
This is one of those recipes that is just so light and so fresh and so quick.
It really is.
You can make it in less than 10 minutes.
All right, this particular recipe is for two people. Actually, for somebody with bariatric surgery, this may go for 3 or 4 servings. What I've got here is some asparagus, these beautiful little babies. I'm just snapping the ends off. They'll tell you where to go. They just do it all on their own. You don't have to worry about it. They're super easy.
You know, you
low
can
maintenance.
save those ends and cook those for asparagus soup.
You could absolutely save those for whatever you want.
I'm tossing them.
We're tossing those though. This is going to we're just going to cut these into about 1-inch long pieces here. Now this recipe I've actually adapted from one that a big name chef on Food Network has done before. The main difference between these two recipes is that I'm not using the pasta, and I've also added another ingredient that she didn't have in hers. All right, so we're just going to saute those for just a second. And then we're going to add, these are just some artichoke hearts. These were jarred or canned, and you're going to want to just drain them off, and then you want to kind of squeeze the liquid out of them because they can hold on to a lot of juice. And we don't want that extra liquid in this. So we are going to just chop these a little bit further down than what they are now. Not a whole lot.
You really don't have to.
No, you really don't have to. In fact, if it's tough like that, chunk it. Because for many of us that have either a pouch or a sleeve, if you can't cut through it, we sure as heck aren't going to, I almost said a bad word there. We sure as heck aren't going to be able to digest it or swallow it, right? So we're just going to chunk that. All right. And now a lot of people do have problems with artichoke hearts. And if you do have issue with them, you can omit them. If you have issue with asparagus, you can omit it. Something you might want to try, though, if you can't really tolerate the artichoke heart, try cutting the leaves off and going with just this.
Just the heart.
Beautiful, soft center, the heart, which is my favorite part of that anyway. And see how that works for you because, you know, you never know. You may be able to deal with that when you can't deal with the rest of it. And those leaves don't want to be chopped either.
You know what you could use in here? You could use like some snow peas.
Those would be delicious.
Things like that.
Those would absolutely be delicious. Something else that I've added to it, I've also added some sun-dried tomatoes.
Yeah.
If you have roasted red bell peppers, you can add those to it as well.
Do you need some salt and pepper?
Either way. Yes, ma'am. Salt and pepper is always a good thing. You always want to season your food because it just adds flavor. And flavor is awesome. Good job. All right. We got here some of these super cute little, these are heirloom grape tomatoes. They're just these little yellow nuggets of sunshine. And I fell in love with them, so I snagged them up. If you want a little more pop of color, you can add some red ones in there instead. These, I'm just having them. If you want to, you can go as far as to quarter them, but I wouldn't really cut them any farther than that, honestly.
The whole point's not to let them completely cook into this. It's
exactly.
Not tinned.
Exactly. All right, so there's that. Now we're going to saute that for a second before we add these next two ingredients. And we're going to add one more thing, and that is the juice of about half a lemon. I'm going to go grab that while she's going to stir that up.
Did you want to go ahead and put the garlic in here so that it can be sauteing a little?
I'm going to put that garlic in just a second. I don't want to burn it.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for your squeezer. Where'd your squeezer go?
In this thing right here.
Oh, yes.
I outsmarted you again.
She did. She's good at that. We're not going to use this quite yet, though. That's going to come towards the end. I just wanted to have that ready. All right, now at this point, we're going to go ahead. We're going to add in our shrimp. I've just got some of these little medium shrimp with the tail still on. If you want to pop the tail off of them before sauteing them, go for it. I usually do. I'm not this time just because it's kind of a pretty presentation. So we're just going to pop those right on in there.
The garlic in at the same time.
Yeah, I am, because the garlic doesn't take that long to cook, really.
And those shrimp don't either.
Yeah, so those are going to cook up at about the same time. While those are going, I'm going to take a few leaves of basil. If you remember, a couple episodes back, I showed you guys how to do a chiffonade with the basil, and that is exactly what we're going to do here. My board's a little bit wet, and that's okay. It's all going to come together anyway. So to do the chiffonade, you just roll up the basil. That's a little warm.
Don't get your fingers this time.
I know, right? So we're just going to roll it up, and we're going to just run our knife right over that basil. And it's going to make the prettiest little ribbons. It's like this confetti almost.
This is kind of like a stir fry, but it's just
a little bit
different.
It's almost more of a kind of an Italian themed stir fry.
Yeah.
I'm just going to put those ribbons of basil right in there, just like that. I'm going to give that a stir. And then we're going to take our lemon. The shrimp are almost done. Remember, you want your shrimp to be completely opaque.
And the way you tell is when the shell turns a bright pink.
Yes, and those are almost there, not quite there yet, though. So we're going to add our lemon juice. I love this contraption. I'm allergic to citric acid, so I can't handle citrus fruit with my hands. So this thing has been just a godsend for me. So
yeah, you did that in a couple of episodes. And your
hands I made the huge mistake of touching the lemon juice with my hands, and yeah, that didn't bode well for me. My hands were raw for about a week after. I think we're getting close, aren't we?
Getting close. I think
got a couple here that are kind of being a little stubborn, but those are going to be good to go. Look at that. Look at all those colors.
So good.
And you know, if you add the sun-dried tomatoes to that, or you add roasted red bell peppers, or even if you use the red tomatoes instead of the yellow tomatoes, just the colors alone are just beautiful here. And those are done. We're done.
That's done.
We are done. So we are going to, go the other way with that to turn that off.
This is a handy thing. If you don't want to heat up the whole kitchen in the summer, and it gets 107 to 110 here in Texas.
Yeah, it gets really hot.
We use these quite often because it's really simple to contains the heat.
I want to show you this super cute little bowl here. This is a bowl that was made by my husband's grandmother many years ago. My husband's grandmother and grandfather owned a ceramic hut, and it's overflowing, but that's okay.
That's plenty.
And they made these beautiful little pieces like this. And this, actually, there's a set of 3 of these, and we got the pink one, there's a green one, and a yellow one. So these are really special to our family, and I just love the way that the color pops. And I love the way this looks. So you ready to give that a little quick taste?
I just grabbed a shrimp.
How'd the shrimp taste?
The shrimps are awesome.
Now, early on after my surgery, I couldn't tolerate asparagus. Now, almost 2 years out, I can. Again, if you can't tolerate asparagus, you can omit it and use something else. I love the little tips.
You could use,
they're so fresh.
in desperation, I don't recommend it otherwise, but you could use a canned asparagus.
You could, honestly, I'm not a fan of the canned
awful.
Asparagus because it's very mushy and doesn't taste very good. That's really good. I want to try shrimp. The lemon just adds that freshness, doesn't it? This is springtime in a bowl.
That is springtime in a bowl.
Absolutely. So,
really good.
All right. This is really good. Okay. When we come back, we're going to get a little more complicated, but you're not going to regret it. Mom's got a great recipe for you that is going to blow your socks off, let me tell you. So we'll be right back in just a second.
Hi, folks. We're back, and we're going to make some enchiladas. A friend of ours from Facebook gave us an idea of how to make enchiladas without tortillas. And it's a really neat idea. I'm using a Tex-Mex style recipe instead of her recipe, but I'm using her technique. And her name is Sally Lynn McDonald, and I want to say thank you, Sally, for giving me this fantastic idea. I've got a whole boiled shredded chicken. And you can buy canned chicken. You can buy a deli chicken that is a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah, that's
just
shred
it.
What I would do.
Yeah, just shred it. That's what we're going to do. We're going to add, about a half, you can add more or less onion, whatever you want. And we're putting that in here.
Now something here, this is where we would have a discrepancy because I'd actually saute that before I stuck it in there.
Well, this is going to cook in the oven.
Right,
So,
but I would still saute it before I stuck it in there. That's just me.
We're going to add some spices. I'm going to add about 2 teaspoons of chili powder. Very generous because that's a lot of chicken. Okay? And then we're going to add...
Could you use fajita seasoning in that, you think?
Well, sure. If you wanted it to taste that way, you could. Fajita seasoning tends to have a little different flavor than
Yeah,
this.
it does. It does.
And
It is different. It's got more citrus.
A whole teaspoon of cumin.
Wow, that's a lot of cumin.
That's a lot of cumin, but you got a lot of meat here.
Yeah,
to
true
season.
story.
Now, I'm adding a can of these green chilies. These come from a place in New Mexico that is famous for their green chilies. My mouth is watering already. And because I love these green chilies so much, I've even bought them fresh and frozen them in the freezer in the fall when they come in because they are so good. Okay, we're going to we have shredded, I've got some Monterey Jack and I've got some pepper jack involved in this. And I'm going to put at least that in with the chicken because we're going to stuff these little slices of turkey. I couldn't find chicken, so it doesn't matter.
And you can use whatever you want, right?
Right.
I mean, if you like.
And I'm going to add a little bit of this for moisture. And this is a large can of green chili sauce. They do make them in smaller cans.
Okay.
So, but I'm adding that large. I'm going to use that because we're making enough for a small army here. And if we decide we don't want to make all this at once, I'm going to freeze it.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Got the mix-ins already made. You can even make chicken tacos with this.
Yeah.
You can make layered. You could take these pieces of chicken and layer them.
Make the layered tortilla.
If you're
that's a great
if
idea.
you don't want to take the time to roll the tortilla.
Well, there are some people that there are 2 different versions of enchiladas. There's the rolled enchiladas and there's the layered enchiladas, depending on where you live and what you like. So there you go.
So it's all up to you.
There you go.
And look, this has little holes in it. That's not going to hurt one bit.
I do have to say, my husband came up with a brilliant idea. He suggested using roast beef and making beef enchiladas using roast beef instead of chicken enchiladas using. So I guess we'll try that sometime and see.
The varieties are endless. And you see, as you lay them in here, you realize they look like tortillas.
They do. They
laying
look just
in the
like,
bottom of this pan. We're going to move this where you can see it a little better.
They really do look like they're supposed to. Look like regular.
And the whole idea is you're filling it up with cheese and chicken, not with a filler. That's something that you're not supposed to be having anyway.
So this is pretty much all protein right here.
Pretty much. And I would suggest that if you want a side salad or refried beans, black beans.
Beans would be great with this.
A bean salsa. I make one that has black beans and corn and salsa in it. That's pretty awesome.
Now we're, of course, making a huge pan of this.
But we're going to show you how it breaks down and makes small portions.
Absolutely. You hear us talk a lot about batch cooking, and this is a great example of that.
Because I might not want but one enchilada tonight, and I might not want another one till next week.
Right.
So I might put 1 or 2 in a little vacuum bag, vacuum the air out of it. I have it ready. I can throw it in a pan of boiling water and literally have a meal in 5 minutes.
Yeah. And as you can see, this actually doesn't take as long as you might think to roll these up. I know that was, when I first started making enchiladas, that was something that kind of turned me off. I was like, oh, it just takes so long to roll these up.
And if you're...
We haven't even been working 5 minutes yet, people. There we go. We already got almost a full pan.
Yeah, and if you're using deli chicken, that's the hardest thing, is shredding the blooming chicken.
Exactly. And you can also shred the chicken ahead of time. And
keep shredded chicken in the freezer.
You know, yeah, exactly. And, you know, something else, too, if you're in a pinch, excuse you, if you're in a pinch,
sorry,
use canned chicken. I mean, it's not the best option, but if you have nothing else to use.
Believe me, there are restaurants that do it. You just don't realize it.
True story.
It's because...
I think after that one, this pan's going to be full up.
I think so. We may be freezing some chicken.
I think that's a great idea.
I think so, too. But that's what it's all about, is learning how to make enough food for a meal and then making extra for the next meal. We're going to cover this with cheese. And I'm going to stir this.
Yeah, get a little mix so you can get some of the pepper jack on top,
pepper jack in there. The pepper jack adds a little layer of flavor.
Just a little spice to it.
That just Monterey Jack doesn't have. It's got some peppers in it. This is probably pretty mild compared to what some people will eat.
Yeah.
But that's okay. Then we're going to put some of this sauce over the top.
That is such a pretty green, too, really.
They're called green enchiladas for a reason. Gee.
Now, me, I'm a fan of red enchilada sauce. I like red. Honestly, I've never really eaten green enchiladas because I've always been afraid of them. So I'm really excited to see how these turn out.
I think you're going to be excited.
So.
Well, we'll be back in just a minute to show you what it tastes like.
Awesome. Can't wait.
Hi, folks. We're back with some finished enchiladas here.
They smell really good.
You notice I made one large one for the family, and then I made a small one that I'm going to portion out for me and you.
And if you really want to make just a teeny tiny portion, you can use one of these little containers right here and just make a little portion in there.
And look here.
That's awesome.
Put the sauce
I'm going to put, would you like some Greek yogurt?
You can put it on your end. I like the enchilada by myself.
I like a little bit. I use Greek yogurt instead of sour cream. I just like the flavor of it. And it's a little more protein and less fat than sour cream. I love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay.
So, and to show you what I did with the leftover chicken, it's already prepared. It's ready to go straight into the freezer.
Yep.
I've marked it, put the name on it, what it is, and there's enough here to make probably 2 more of these pans.
So you could even then freeze it in even smaller portions.
Sure.
To make smaller panfuls.
You can make tacos with this. Enchiladas, several different casseroles.
Oh, tortilla soup would be great with that mix.
Because it's got everything in it that you need. Just add the broth.
Just add broth.
So,
awesome.
We're going to taste this.
Yes, we are. We found these cute little forks. They're shrimp forks. Aren't they adorable?
I'm probably the only person in the world that owns oyster plates. So, now that is it gives you a little bit of the texture of a tortilla. It's going to pull apart.
There we go. Okay. That is a huge bite, Jen. I have a really hard time getting these little bites today. There we go.
Should have used that other fork, kiddo.
I know, right? Okay, let's try it. Oh, wow.
Isn't that good? It has all the textures of a regular tortilla.
Well, I'm talking,
But the chicken is awesome.
I've been afraid of green chili enchiladas because I always thought I don't like green chilies, but these are really good.
And they're not really spicy. But you could heat this up if you wanted to. I used mild chilies. You could go with a hotter variety if you wanted to. So
that's really delicious.
You think that one?
This is awesome. This is such a great idea, guys.
I'm just glad
brilliant.
that we were told about using.
Yes,
this was great.
And this brings up another great point. We keep saying, guys, give us comments, give us email suggestions and comments and questions. And this is what happens when we get suggestions and comments. You guys end up on the show. So just keep them rolling in. We love this stuff. You guys are awesome.
Thanks again.
Well, we are not done yet, though, because in the springtime, we are getting ready for what?
Salads.
Salads in summer. So stick around because we're fixing to show you guys some great ideas for some quick and easy salad dressings that are going to just be amazing. You guys are going to love them. We'll see you in just a second.
Yum, yum. Spring has sprung.
Oh,
I
that's a good
love
one.
fresh veg salad.
I do too. I do too.
Can't eat a lot of it, but I love it.
Yes, absolutely. So what's your favorite salad dressing?
I like a balsamic, citrus.
That sounds delicious. Well, my favorite, of course, is ranch dressing.
Yes.
I love ranch dressing. I'm going to show you real quick a really simple way to make your own homemade ranch so you don't have to worry too much about buying the prepackaged stuff. I just got some Greek yogurt here.
This will last a couple of weeks in the refrigerator.
Yeah, it
too,
does.
so.
Absolutely, it does. And then right here, I've got a mixture of different dried herbs and spices. Got some paprika, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, dried chives. Just kind of a myriad of stuff. And this is going to be up on the blog, so don't worry about any measurements right now because you can go to the blog and find this recipe. And it's super easy. And I'm just popping that right on in there with the sour cream. And we'll mix that up a little bit.
The thing is, you can control the amount of salt because
Precisely.
the real ranch packet thingy
Is mostly sodium.
is mostly sodium, and this way you don't have it.
Exactly. And I've got some salt right here because when I taste it, I want to be able to see if I need a little more salt or not. So, all right, would you please hand me that buttermilk? Now, as it is right now with this consistency, it's great for dipping. If you want to dip carrots, celery, if you can eat celery. A lot of people can't eat celery. Did you know that?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people who've had bariatric surgery that can't eat celery. But if you can eat it, you can dip it in this.
How much are we putting?
We're just going to, little bits at a time. Basically, you just want to thin it out until it's the consistency that you want it to be.
Buttermilk needs to be shook up.
Buttermilk needs to be shaken for sure. And the thing that I like about buttermilk is that it is naturally low fat. And I use buttermilk for quite a lot, actually. I use it, if I do, I don't eat a whole lot of carbs now, but every so often my kids want biscuits or pancakes or whatever, and when that happens, I use buttermilk instead of milk a lot of times. I've even used it in gravy, and I'll soak my chicken in it, too.
You ready for a little more?
I think a little bit more, and I think that'll do us. That's probably, I'd say, probably a good...
Half a cup.
About a quarter of a cup total, I think, is where we're at. All right, now you just give it a taste. Now, the best way to taste salad dressing is not with your finger, and it's not with a spoon. It is with a piece of the lettuce or whatever that you're going to be using, because this is where your salad, this is where your dressing is going to rest. So we're just going to give that a little taste.
Needs a little salt and pepper.
Needs a little bit of salt and pepper, but otherwise it tastes just like regular ranch dressing, doesn't it?
Oh, yes. That's probably enough.
Yeah, I think so too. These salt grinders, you really don't know a lot. Okay.
Well, and that grinds it really fine. So.
It does. And so sometimes you need more out of a grinder than you would typically. All right. We're just going to give that a little juice and give it another quick taste, and that should be just about perfect, I think. And it is.
It is.
That's better than bottled, actually, because
It's fresh tasting.
it's fresh, and a lot of times,
That's good.
for me, I have a hard time sometimes with the bottle dressing because they're just too salty. And, so this is just right. And if you, remember, you can adjust your seasonings. If you want more salt, you can definitely add more salt a little bit at a time. Less salt, don't put quite as much in to start with. And work
Well,
your
a
way up to
hint
it.
is make this and let it set for a while because
Yes.
those chives are dry.
Yes.
The flavor will come out after it starts to melt a
Yes,
little bit.
and it gets really delicious and wonderful. All right, so what do you got over here, Mama?
I've got a fruit jar, and I like balsamic. So
I do too. I
what
love
I want you
balsamic
to
vinegar.
do is to give me some orange zest.
I can do that. I'm going to use one of my pretty little springtime bowls here again.
And I've got some balsamic vinegar here. And I'm going to add
Well, come over here so I don't...
About
Oh, my
a
gosh. that
quarter of
zest
a
is already
cup.
just so fragrant.
and then I'm going to add about a quarter of a cup of olive oil. And the neat things are, we use these fruit jars because I do some canning during the summer. And these are graduated on the side. They actually have measures on the
that's
side.
smart.
So,
How much of this do you want?
that ought to be plenty for no more than we're making here.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of that in there. And then I've got a little bit of
Do you want any of this juice?
Yes, I do. I do. What did you do with the squeezer thingy?
I will get the squeezer thingy.
I'll slice the orange while you get the squeezer thingy. Wherever it's at. What happened to my balsamic reduction?
It is.
Did you move it? You moved it.
I did. This is fun because this is not going to quite fit in there, so I'm going to have to
Cut it in quarters.
give it another quarter slice.
I use this, it's a balsamic reduction where it's a syrup. And I add just about a teaspoon of that.
Wow.
Now this is
Oh,
going
that's
to
good.
a depth of flavor that you wouldn't get with just the balsamic
Right.
without cooking it. And when you cook this stuff, it'll burn your eyes, your nose, and and I don't mind doing that, but I really like it better when I do this. Okay.
Now we want the whole half?
I think we need the whole half.
The whole half. You want the whole half or you want the whole shebang? Whole thing?
The whole thing wouldn't hurt.
All right, let's go for it.
And I
That's a
love
juicy
a
orange.
citrus balsamic. And we'll have some proportions for you on the blog because we're just kind of
I'm making a mess
eyeballing it here. It's very simple. You do it to your taste.
That's I think that's the whole point of this is that making your own dressing homemade is really a lot easier than people think. Basically what we're doing is throwing it all in a jar and shaking it up, and we're not even measuring anything, and that is exactly
The way it should be.
the way you do it. Oh, it's getting everywhere.
Okay. That'll be
All right,
plenty.
that'll be good. All right.
That'll be plenty.
Get off of there, you. Get off of there, you.
You can thin it out with a little bit of water if you don't like the thickness or
Right.
if it's a little strong. For some people, they may need to do that.
Right.
I think it'll be just fine for me. So, let's pour some in this little bowl. And
All right. That's where we had our. Oh, how pretty is that?
that pretty?
Oh, it smells really delicious.
Really good.
It smells good.
Let's get the other half of that celery
Yeah,
stick.
I think so too.
Take your part.
And if you can't tolerate celery, you can use whatever you like, of course, You know what?
Needs a little salt.
Needs a little salt.
I forgot the salt. Probably needs to be shook a little bit more
Yeah,
too.
shake it up. There we go.
So it emulsifies.
That's better.
That's better. Okay. I gotta try it.
That is really good. That would be great on just like a regular, just a light salad with some chicken and some cranberries
you
and
can
almonds.
marinate your chicken in that if you wanted
Yes,
to.
absolutely. Right before you grill it, marinate in that. Oh, it's delicious. Or salmon would be really good in that too.
And if you're really like a sweet flavor, you could put a tablespoon of brown sugar substitute in it.
Or whatever you like. Now we just kind of have like a myriad of different vinegars because what we used was a balsamic glaze. We have regular balsamic vinegar here. There's white balsamic vinegar. You have red wine vinegar, white wine vinegar. There's champagne vinegar, sherry vinegar, apple cider vinegar, malt vinegar. If you have a taste bud, there is a vinegar that will suit it.
You can even make your own. If you take white vinegar and put tarragon
Oh, yes,
and let it
delicious.
set for 30 days in there.
Yep.
Seal it up, and it makes tarragon vinegar.
Use white wine vinegar, though, because the white vinegar can be a little harsh, I think, to the
Yeah,
palate.
it just depends,
Yeah.
And champagne vinegar, and use tarragon. Lots of good ideas.
Yes, absolutely. All right, guys. Well, we hope that you had as much fun today as we did. We hope that you love the ideas. Remember, keep those questions and comments coming. You can comment here on YouTube, visit us on our Facebook page and leave us a message, or you can email us, and all of those links are going to be down in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share us with everybody you know if you love what we do, because it helps us out and it gets the information out there. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this journey. You guys are so phenomenal and so awesome. We can't believe we're almost halfway through second season already.
Right.
And you guys are we just love you. You're fantastic. So thank you guys so much.
Come back and see what we're up to next time.
Absolutely. See you.